Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tech High School series. We got some more Division I action, but first, the legend here with me in the booth today. So, how are we doing?
Good day for Valorant. It's a good fresh week. It's a fresh start, and we got some fresh games going on here today. Let's jump over to the schedule real quick and just check out what we got. This is going to show 3. We only got 2 today. We're going to kick it off with Penn Trafford versus Westmont Hilltop, and then after that, we're going to see Winburn versus Hollidaysburg, and these games are going to be interesting for sure, Hot Sauce. I definitely feel it. The second game probably going to be a little bit more, but just by like how these teams have been playing, and if you've been paying attention to me, I've been over on D2, so I'm catching in on a lot of this late. But judging by how I'm seeing the scores play out, it looks like it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, as we take a quick look at the standings, it'll kind of give you a little bit of tale of how the first game might go. Penn Trafford, the only remaining undefeated team up here, 3-0, again, taking on Westmont Hilltop, who has had a bit of a tough start here, 0-3. Obviously, they're going to be hungry, but again, I think it's going to be a tough one here for them. In that second game, we had mentioned Winburn, who is 2-1, Hollidaysburg 2-2, so very close here, right in the middle of that bracket. So, as you had mentioned, I expect a much closer game in game number 2, but certainly excited for the first one nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. Penn Trafford, the defending champions, they're undefeated. They're in the number 1 spot right now. They just want to cement themselves here as a force to be reckoned with. But I think Westmont, if this is the chance that you're going to come out and make a statement here, even just by just pushing Penn Trafford to a point where it's even like a close match, you get, 6-13, whatever you can get, like any sort of statement you can make here is going to be a huge deal, I think, if you're Westmont, because you don't want to go down to this and look, and because you see a couple of teams on that lower end window, we're still looking for a first win. So I think if you can kind of come out ahead and look and say, like, look, we've got some map differential, especially against the top team, that'll put you into a later playoff contention. That's kind of what you're vying for at this point as you try to look into this middle of the pack, is just, can we sneak ourselves into that playoff spot?
Yeah, I mean, not really many teams have. Most of these games have been 13-1, 13-2, or 3 from Penn Trafford. So if you can take several rounds, even, you'll be sitting pretty. We'll take a quick look at the map picks and ban here. As you can see, we did have Westmont ban Breeze, and then Penn Trafford elected to go with that map that we see quite a bit here, Ascent. So they'll be defending on Ascent first, and again, Westmont will be attacking.
Yeah, and this gives them a chance, right? There's a lot of ways you can attack on Ascent. There's a lot of ways to play it, but you got to play it carefully. You got to play it slow, and you got to set your team up for success. And the last couple of times I've seen Penn Trafford, they play and push aggressively. So I think that's an easy punishment. If you can prepare for that and kind of get the information to pick yourself in a good position to get some value, that's a way you easily turn this in your favor, especially on the attack. And then on defense, you just let them run in and play at you. So I think if Westmont has a chance, they're going to start off here with a very strong defensive attack in a way.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Penn Trafford do 5 duelists before. We've seen them kind of just have some fun with it. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here as the season gets a little bit later. Do they just stick to the game plan, do with what they do best, run it down? Do they maybe go 5 duelists or mix up the comps, have a little fun with it? So again, Ascent, a map we've seen on dominate quite a bit on, but yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the other thing you got to think down the line too, right? Is like eventually when you get to best of 3s and best of 5s in playoff time, you can only run Ascent once, so you're going to have to look at what else do you want to play. So maybe the other chance is to try to take them out of a point where they're comfortable, because like everybody plays Ascent, everybody scrims this, everybody's worked Pearl. There were a couple teams last year that got some really good value out of simply choosing Fracture and just putting their time into that. So I think that could be down the line. Get your reps in on Ascent on a map you're comfortable with. But down the line, expand that map pool out a little bit. You only get one ban, and the ban here was Breeze. Like that's one that I think a lot of teams play a lot of. So, you got a couple maps still available down the line, but right now on Ascent, you might as well get the value and run the set plays that you've been working on the whole time. Get those reps in, get some rounds in, and hopefully come out with a W if you're Westmont.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you really don't see too many teams playing Fracture. I know it's probably one of my least favorite maps. Certainly a lot better with the recent changes that have been made. But again, 100%. Just it's a tough map. It can be a tough map. So many different sides to attack from. But it looks like we're going to go ahead and get into that character select screen. So
yeah, let's see what people want to bring out. I'm not sure I'm expecting anything wildly extreme here. Looks like we're gonna see a little bit of everything. You know, no duplicate agents eyed so far. That's an interesting pick. Just to look at, we're looking at double initiator on the side of Penn Trafford, which looks to be right. I mean, that's just so much information, free value, and KO's coming into his own here, and I always love that. I was always wondering when we were going to get KO kind of as a lead initiator. Now he's kind of seen that light. I like it, but yeah, there's just a lot of variety across this lobby. With the only duplicate being the Jet, that's a very interesting turn of events.
Yeah, I honestly really favor this Penn Trafford lineup here. I mean, KO, like, as you mentioned, so nasty. He's actually been really good for countering Chamber, on that flank as well. For a Trips, Chamber, a strong powerhouse here on Ascent, as he is on most maps. So really a little bit of an odd comp from Westmont, but maybe just sticking, to those characters that they are comfortable with. Sometimes that comes, it's just a little bit easier to play with that comfortable character, so you're not getting caught with utility in hand. But the info that you get from Fade and KO alone, obviously Brim for the smokes. I think we've seen M&A dominate a lot here recently. So I do favor the comp here from Penn Trafford.
I got to agree with you, but the one thing I will give out, and he's been in a tough spot, but Phoenix is kind of a nice all-arounder. You can get yourself, if your entry somewhere else, if you're waiting for your Omen, if Reina's just kind of lurking, that's a decent spot to get yourself in, just to kind of play in an all-around. You can kind of trust Phoenix to kind of do a multitude of roles, and that's always a nice thing for Westmont here. But going into this, like you said, the lack of information is going to be very, very tough, and just even having the double heal, I don't think is going to be enough. There's a lot of crutch kind of things that could be considered here, and I'm not saying it is, because it's not. Don't get me wrong, Sky and Sage are both very, very strong on their own, but like this looks like we could be leaning into to keeping our team and just eating chip damage, and I'd rather see just the aggressive play as opposed to defensive play.
Yeah, I mean, Phoenix tier 1, tier 2 had about a 0% pick rate up until these recent changes. So at least he's somewhat more of a viable character at this point. But all the pressure now mounting toward B. Shots ringing out both directions as they look to take control of lane here. And again, we see Redfish tucked into the corner, but Guns able to tap the dome of one. We'll get one more here as Redfish doesn't know he's behind. Quarter able to get a trade as well as Monkey finds him in an A. D-Rock, again, a little back and forth here, a 2v3 as the top from the dome. D-Rock with the Sheriff yet again, and now a 2v2. Kind of slowing things down a little bit here. Pretty evenly matched as far as damage goes.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see the Chamber is one tap away, but D-Rock is still there, still has a little piece of utility left. Chamber doesn't really have anything. Guns are just going to try and find a little space, but I don't think either team really knows where anything is. There's the one. This could be the opening that Westmont needs here.
Yeah, that was a big pick from D-Rock there and doing a great job with the Sheriff. Even the patience right there. I mean, Hello gets the kill, but D-Rock not getting real crazy as he's taking damage. Nice 2 shots to the body there. 10 health remaining, and that makes it an easy secure there for Monkey.
Yeah, that's a great pickup. That's a great start for Westmont here. You really wanted to see that. Maybe if you're Penn Trafford, you gave that a little 2 away for free. You didn't really defend. They kind of got right in, and although the calls didn't come in for the Guns are just hiding in that, you kind of have to expect it now for a little bit. You have to kind of assume someone is playing there. So I mean, a good start for Westmont. Keep the call outs up and keep this pace, and you can really make some sort of a statement here. They'll be rewarded going up on Guns, but the question is will that make a difference? I've seen so many bonus rounds just take a loss for silly reasons, and I really hope Westmont doesn't do the same here.
Yeah, they certainly need to capitalize. We see D-Rock with that Vandal in hand. We got Omen with that smoke here toward the B side as well. They begin to linger this way. The Molly's going to come in, buy some time. Could easily get around this, however. And again, Reina on that far lurking flank as Blur picks one off at mid with a Marshall. And this will give them some room to work with here. We see a little bit of a rotation come in. Jet now in a hurry back the other direction. Nearly gets caught off guard, but the help from Quarter is going to be huge here for Penn Trafford.
I mean, I like the space that Westmont is taking, but Penn Trafford just winning on gunplay here. Maybe they just weren't expecting it, but they've given up a lot of space, including that important mid control. You can see it. There is slowly going to be a contest in, but the trade outs are going to be important here. We'll find one. Hello and Blur each finding one on their own, and Spike is down now on site, and it's in a tough spot to get.
Yeah, and another thing is they're pretty spread out, right? They know they have the weapon advantage. You kind of like to see them play a little more together and trade things out as Blur finds the 3K. But again, maybe just being a little too spread out, allowing Penn Trafford to use their gun skills and win these battles. They've brought things back together, though, a 2v2, and the damage certainly in their favor as Sky and Phoenix look to work together here toward the B site.
Yeah, the Wolf will come out just to find that information. We'll eventually find both of them, but I kind of hated this high sustain healing based comp, but it's working out in their way. There's the flash from Phoenix. Curveball does not find, and there's going to be the trade out. Yeah, Westmont going up 2-0 here. I don't know. This is looking kind of odd. It kind of feels like Penn Trafford might have underestimated the team here.
Yeah, I mean, swinging together there at the end as well. I thought for sure they would at least get Phoenix, but great work from Tony there on Sky. And honestly, yeah, I mean, right now we see some really good communication coming out from Westmont. The team chemistry seems to be on par. So, maybe that the underdog working in their favor, Penn Trafford thinking they're going to come in and just roll away with it. But Westmont certainly here to play. Going to be a big round as we see that force up come up. Pillow stuck with the stinger. But other than that, Penn Trafford good to go on the rifles.
Yeah, and that does give them a little bit of advantage. Got to give it to Westmont, who is playing a little bit safer. Lear out just to try to buy it. They'll get a little information for that, but D-Rock finds one. That Guardian coming in huge. Oh, two. Oh, wow, is absolutely getting value. They're going to commit Empress on this, too. They are ready to go on this B site. M&A finding one. That's big, though, because that's an important carry for the side of Westmont.
Yeah, D-Rock certainly hitting all their shots at the moment, looking very good. We saw with the Sheriff in round one here with the Guardian. Blur in wine, looking to make some space here as it looks like they opt to rotate around M&A, the only remaining member for Penn Trafford on that B side as we see the rotation coming in. And I'm not sure if Brim heard the audio cue from Phoenix there. We do see KO shifting around. And it looks like that rotation might be on its way toward the B side.
I will say this is a very disciplined look out of Westmont. We've not seen that. They're just going to, test the waters. Quarter will find one off screen, but it evens it out here to 3v3. And I don't think they figured out M&A is hiding there. They're going to probably just try and get spiked down. And you hate to see it. Just going to take the easy head click. Does not go. It's traded out. Meanwhile, it's breaking out on B, and there's still a chance to get the spike down.
Yeah, you got to clear Boathouse. You need to clear the entire site. Luckily, Tony was there to get the trade. They'll find the spike plan as well and the extra funds. 2v1, though, a tough situation. Could possibly find Quarter at 21 health, but they should press together here. Here comes the flash as well. Sky will look. No, doesn't look away and kind of gets caught slipping. Quarter with the 3K. And again, we'll look for some better weapons. The Defusal comes in, and Penn Trafford nearly losing that round, but certainly a round that they needed to win, or they could have found themselves in a bit of trouble.
Agreed. I mean, I think Penn Trafford kind of figured it out there. They're checking around and they're seeing that, all right, we got to get D-Rock under control. D-Rock has kind of been leading the charge here, 5-3, has kind of been putting in a lot of work there for the team. So I think they're learning that if we can get D-Rock under control, the rest of this team is pretty manageable otherwise. The team can trade out. You can see it. These scores aren't far off from each other. There's a lot of, 2-2s here. So I think it's going to be the question right now because Quarter has absolutely been popping off too, does have that ultimate on the line. So I expect that to be probably a counter to an entry here as it comes into on this. They're looking like A site, but I would expect that to be wherever they end up choosing. That's going to come in to try to counter this entry.
Yeah, looking for like an early rotation here. M&A posted up just outside of tree. Probably hears the footsteps as well, and certainly hears the Lear. Pressure across mid. Redfish has to be careful. Utility in hand, and M&A will pop the dome and find the first one. Looks to peek and get more dashes away from D-Rock, who has been spotted here at Tiles. A little bit of damage from M&A as Tony picks off one with a Guardian, finds the equalizer, and now a 4v4 in suit. The spike here down at mid, however.
I will give it to them. They've just been getting control of mid here, and that's been so crucial. Quarter going to find one off screen as they're still trying to figure out what's going on. But yeah, getting that precious mid control is so important. The trades will come in, and it looks like A is open, but the rotation is going to come through from B. Great fake out, great use of that noise there. Phoenix, with the run it back, might just use it to try to get themselves in or out. We'll have to see what Blur wants to do with it. Oh, didn't check, didn't clear it. Oh.
Timing is everything, and unfortunately, it doesn't work out in Blur's favor. Honestly, if they were able to hold there just a little while longer, especially when you have the plant going down at B like that, it gives you the ability to wait for that rotation to come in from A. Possibly could have found one, but now this is a much more feasible round for Penn Trafford. They could very easily find the retake and the round here.
It is. The Seekers are out, though. We'll eventually get it. The information is there, and D-Rock found one, is looking for the second one. Hello does trade out. Now it's that 1v1, and it's going to be a time question here because El Hello is now on the clock with it ticking down. There's a Lear, doesn't know. Now he knows where they are, so can they find anything?
Yeah, I mean, a 1v1 tucked into Boathouse, has the ult in hand, but certainly doesn't want to waste it here. And now D-Rock being patient. Oh, and the ult will come out, swinging out wide. A lot of damage being done as well. But he chases around D-Rock with a run and gun, able to find the headshot on Hello. And we thought this was going to be a blowout. Westmont coming out swinging, absolutely loving the performance from D-Rock, Blur, and the rest of the crew here today.
Shame on us, Hot Sauce. We
Absolutely
shame on us. We took what was probably the easy bait of just being like, why would the first place team not win here? But right now, this Westmont team looks very, very strong again, and you can see it kind of in the source. D-Rock has been showing up again and again, just at the top 7 and 3, has looked good. That's not to say that they're the only force here, but they are absolutely putting in a couple of ults on either side. Still that valuable KO ult just to kind of buy it here. But this B push can be pretty strong if they don't get caught out. The question is are they really going to commit to it after those Omen smokes?
Yeah, and it's certainly not over till it's over, but as you mentioned, just coming out and showing a great performance nonetheless. They've already started off strong. We'll see if they can carry that momentum forward. Looking for a little intel on B, but really doing a good job of biting out a possible early rotation. We see M&A kind of going now, shifting back, and maybe keeping this Penn Trafford a little on their feet, kind of second-guessing themselves. We'll see if it works out on their favor here in round 5.
Yeah, for real. They actually just put that out well. They spent the Omen smokes. Omen will get those back. There's going to be a little bit of intel. Does see the Lear. M&A not knows spreader than the poke that. So looking for the dash. Quarter will find one in the meantime while they're keeping their eyes on the back. So now that that's out, they have the space. It's going to be the molly out, trade up in the gun. And I think the call is coming in now. So the counter rotate is going to be there. And I respect the patience. D-Rock finds one. I respect the patience of this Westmont team because they are making Penn Trafford really earn these kills.
Yeah, and I love the fact that D-Rock finds quarter here as well. We kind of have these two top fraggers battling it out here, mano-y-mano. This time, D-Rock coming out on top. We're able to find one. We can see Brim tucked into tree here, holding a good angle as the runner back comes out, looking to find some pressure, some space. D-Rock able to find one more. Guns are now Blur on the trade as well. They have the two-player advantage. Chamber tucked on site. 10 seconds remaining, however. They're going to have to do something now. The blind comes in. The plant goes down for Monkey as well, and Chamber remaining calm, remaining still here. Originally, they saw him at Dice. I'm not sure that they know he's still there or not, so
No, they found him. Gunzer will find one. How many can he take with? We'll get one, and Blur will come up with the 3-piece just to close it out. Yeah, I love this patience. For a team as aggressive as Penn Trafford can be, they felt very confident going into the season. You have to be feeling yourselves going in at 3-0 as the number 1 seed, but they are used to a very run and gun aggressive style and being in control. Suddenly, that control is ripped from their hands, and we're in a 4-1 game here going into this attack half, and they're kind of struggling to know what to do with it. The rifles are going to be there on their side, but they have been playing their economy well. But I think the thing that's kind of hurting them and their side is just the committal of some of these ultimates. I think if they can use them, Quarter has been holding that for several rounds, though. Guns are also just kind of waiting for the moment to send in the tour de force, but hasn't. But it's going to be aggressive B. There it is. There's that tour de force. The question is it that they're already into sight?
Yeah, and you got to wonder if they've done their homework here, guessing correctly over toward the B side as well. Only one there, but Quarter coming in, the double kill. Popping heads, getting bread. Looks to flash, or use the grenade rather, toward that B main. But again, Redfish already on site. Has to be careful here. Has been spotted out. And again, now in a 3v3, they'll begin to slow things down back a little bit as Pillow will find one onto Redfish. Now in a 2v3 again, Omen with that spike, but no ult to get to the other side.
That's the one thing I will give this Penn Trafford team. They are aggressive and they know how to play under pressure. Tony going down with just that lone pistol, trying their best. And the Omen just gonna hide back, probably just stall for the rifle, play the best they can. They're holding on to a Marshall. They may just be playing for any exit picks. But all things considered, 4-2 is still not a bad showing. Like we've talked about, a lot of these games versus Penn Trafford have been 13-1, 13-2. So you're already sitting in a better position than a lot of other teams. I think if you're Westmont, you're happy with this already. Like, I don't say pack it and call it a day, but I think you're content with this performance so far.
Yeah, I don't think really we've seen any teams take a lead on Penn Trafford. Maybe they've won a pistol round or something like that, but no teams have really gone up even by 3 on Penn Trafford yet this season. So for an 0-3 team to come in here and do just that, it goes to show, how much they've already progressed and developed on the season here. So I'm certainly really happy with the progress I've seen, even just from the last game that I casted last week. Hats off to Westmont. Hopefully they can carry this momentum forward and continue to string some rounds together, though.
Yeah, the real question now is that, they'll hopefully have more of a rifle round. They'll hopefully have a little bit more to play with again. Penn Trafford is being a little more conservative with a lot of their tools and their utility. So still trying to win on just raw gunfights. They have those initiator ults, neither really needed, but there is that from the beyond. I'm not sure what you do with that if you're Monkey. Maybe you just play a little bit further with these kinds of bait and switches and these slow plays that you've been kind of letting into. But otherwise, it's kind of a tough ult to really get value of. The rest of the team is very self-sustaining, so I'm very curious to see how they choose to use this.
Yeah, and the one thing I worry about Westmont is too, previously they've gotten in trouble early and they continue. We see 2 rifles here with 3 SMGs, and previously they've gotten in trouble with the economy where they don't have everybody buying together. So I start to worry for them. They need to make sure that they find the same page economically, so they're buying rifles together as well, because if they put themselves in a situation where only 2 or 3 members are buying at a round at a time, they could start to dig themselves into a little bit of a hole.
Yeah, M&A finds most of the team there, though, will eventually get out of dodge, and Blur finds one on just over on the A site. So now that they're fully control of market and mid, the question is where do they choose to go with it? Lear out. Anything? Doesn't really find much, but the chamber will teleport away, and there is another one, and suddenly Westmont is looking active over on A site. Oh, M&A too.
Yeah, and unfortunately that was the spike pushed all the way up mid there. They have to be careful of that. Maybe a bit of miscommunication. Omen able to ult in and secure that spike though, and will rotate toward A. Blur had a good presence here, but M&A able to sneak into good positioning. Blur will find the trade. It's a 3K for both of them as things equalize up. D-Rock with a big kill onto Gunzer will dissipate out. Has the last one spotted here at market. Pistol in hand, but not enough time to plan as D-Rock pushes in, secures the kill, and Westmont somehow grabs another, now up 5-2.
That was never in anybody's full control. We've got a disconnect also, so we're going to take probably a brief pause as Gunzer gets themselves back into the lobby. But man, that was never in. That was a coin toss the whole way through. Picks traded, everything goes through. It's so tough to tell what is happening, because everybody gets, everybody's had a moment, they'll had a spot to that. We're just going to wait for that pause. This will probably be paused mid round here. It happens sometimes. I assume there's just a connection, obby. But even if I think even if you're Penn Trafford, you kind of welcome this pause. This was kind of a moment you kind of want anyways, because you're struggling here. You're at 5, you're at 2-5, you're down. This is probably the first time all season you've really been down too. So I think if anything, you kind of need a moment just to clear the team's heads to kind of figure out what's going on. It looks like we're all good to go here, and we got everybody. All right, we're all good back in here. But Pillow going to open it up with just an early one to kind of clean it up. So, again, I think if you're Penn Trafford, you welcome this. This was kind of a thing in your favor. And look at this aggressive control in the space they're taking. They're pushed so far up. They've got control of mid, and I think they were kind of caught off guard there on it.
Yeah, I think, typically when the match pause comes out, it comes before the round. I think because the round had already started, they didn't actually get that pause in. We can see Chambers still sitting in spawn now, finally moving. But, luckily for Penn Trafford, they do find that early pick here. So now 35 seconds on the clock. They're going to have to make a decision soon. All that pressure now up toward Cat. M&A looking to get out. Oh, and finds the op shot as well. Have to be careful. The Jet so deadly with that. Spots the gun as well. Will peek out. Find one more. That's going to be Tony, who falls now. Sage, the only remaining member. Oh, jumps out with the Spectre and finds it. No way.
All right, Redfish on the redemption arc up, but that was kind of a scuffed round in the biz. We'll call that. But it is the way it is. It does force it, like you said, though, because looking at the money across the side of Westmont, like you said, everybody's kind of scattered here. It's probably going to come and force Blur to buy up for Tony, who's we're sitting on a couple of sheriffs. Is it just going to be a team save? Are we going to play together? I don't know what we're looking at, because like you said, now their economy is a little bit up and down, just kind of with how everything is kind of played. So this is very rough spot. M&A does hold on to that op, and they've got a full rifle around and 3 ultimates, so they are in a good spot here. Again, I've been harping on it simply because I think you're kind of losing value if you're quarter. I want to see that ultimate thrown in at some point, even if it's just to buy yourself a counter or a space or something, because I feel like you're just kind of losing with how quarter has been playing. You could have probably run 2 of these by now.
Yeah, I'm always a fan of, using that alt, if not the round you get it the following round, just so that you can use it more than once. And so I think you're absolutely right there. Again, Westmont trying to slow things down a little bit here at B main, trying to get some space and pressure. They have spotted one. Pillow will find another. And Penn Trafford are just finding these early picks.
They're playing aggressively into the slow play, and that's how they're going to find the success. Run it back. Going to find one on that curveball. Doesn't really get anything, but they have the information now. We'll eventually trade out the run it back. So the information is there, and that's what I was hoping Penn Trafford would do to kind of give themselves a little bit more leeway in this. If they're playing their aggressive style into the slow patience that is Westmont, they can succeed. They can catch them off guard. You have to take control of the timing of the game. And M&A from behind deep lines finds one. Will eventually try to buy more, but the Seeker's out. Just it's still open, but it's looking to go the way of Penn Trafford.
Yeah, Westmont needs to find a lurker somewhere. Penn Trafford has done that one slow flank here at times. So, and they're also rotating extremely quickly as Tony finds one with a sheriff. Finds that equalizer. 14 seconds remaining, though, and not enough time to find the spike and plant. So either going to save a weapon or go on the hunt here, and we'll do the first of the two, it would appear. But yeah, I feel like they're finding these long plays. Penn Trafford being very, very slow, but rotating very, very fast on the front side of things. So wherever initially that Westmont's hitting, everybody rotates. They have M&A on that flank. So if they can have a lurker, just sit tight, sit patient, I think they can find that first early pick.
Yeah, because that's a lot of the value that's being lost, right? Is that the first pick tends to go the way of Westmont, and then suddenly you're there. It looks like we'll call a quick timeout. Yeah, that value that comes from just having a lurk or even just not giving up mid control is so important, right? Like that mid and market control is so valuable on a map like Ascent that the second you give that up, you just offer up so many other angles that you weren't paying attention for. The other thing we were and I have to address this just because we were concerned about this, there's not really the information being gained out of having the double initiators here. And that's unfortunate because you have KO, you have the Fate, you have all this way to tell what is going on, how many people are here. And Penn Trafford's kind of not really getting that information and making their life a little bit easier. Yeah, they're playing slow, but you have to give up utility. You can't necessarily just hold on to it when you think you have a clue, because that's how you get caught out.
Yeah, and on the other side of things too, we talked about the economy of things, when we see members with only 1,300 forcing up into those, like a sheriff with full armor per se, kind of buying around. And I feel like they're maybe just buying around both the Reyna and the Phoenix, who are kind of top fragging for them. But at the same time, you want to try to buy together as a team, no matter what. So I worry for them to get in economic troubles. I've seen them happen before, and it kind of seems like they're leading that way now.
Yeah, you can see it there. 2 pistols, a couple of rifles there. Are there across the board there? Meanwhile, the discipline of Penn Trafford to kind of know that, and again, like they're still holding on to ults. I kind of wish they would use those up in their pistol rounds and their blow rounds. They've been on their way back, but it's still anybody's game because it's 4-5. And again, these slow pushes without Penn Trafford playing in to take information is been very, very tough. They're just kind of waiting for a mistake to happen and trying to capitalize on it. And Westmont hasn't been making too many of those.
M&A has been here every single time. If she's not there, then she's pushing all the way through there up to the top of the cat. They need to recognize that. A big blind doesn't quite hit M&A, though. Now on the back pedal. Oh, and an air miss as well. Omen literally dodging a bullet there, escaping with his life. The player advantage still in the favor of Penn Trafford as Gunzer finds one near the B side. And again, Westmont looks to slow things down, but it's Penn Trafford with that player advantage. Redfish able to find one, and that's going to be huge now for Westmont.
Evens it up. So still nothing on the board. The spike kind of long and on this rotation. Just keeping an eye on everything. So the question is, what does Penn Trafford do? And do they catch anybody on these rotations? Because Redfish is suddenly now very deep in enemy lines, and one wrong turn can put them in a bad spot. But I think they'll be rewarded for this looking. They will find Pillow on the opposite end there. Unfortunately gets traded, but it's still 2-2, and they're on board here.
KO steps out from heaven, though, and finds an easy one now. Sky has a tough position to be in as Gunzer has rotated to heaven. Quarter will find the final kill, and we're all tied up 5-5.
It's important to know that even if you think you have the position, even if you think site is clear, it's still important to give yourself an angle where you're protected for when you're planting, right? That was a little bit too in the open for that plant. I know you're kind of rushing, you're thinking we got to get it down, but even still, try to give yourself the best angles, an angle you can cover. The inside of those boxes on that side would have been perfect, but yeah, it's you have to keep your head on in the game, and that's the case. But again, we see it. Westmont is struggling here. It's 5-5. They're at a bye, but it's across the board again. A Guardian, a Bulldog, just a little bit across the board, and they're on 0. So this round has to come through for them. Otherwise, they're just looking at a full save pistol, and that's just going to continue to spiral this down. Oh, M&A.
Yeah, M&A, again, playing a lot there at A, now rotating to mid, and we talked about how Westmont was kind of keeping Penn Trafford guessing there in those early rounds. Now roles reversed here as Penn Trafford mixing up the strategies, changing up where each member has kind of been sitting per round here, and they find these early picks yet again. We talked about Westmont being on the bye here as well, and when they lose this round, most likely going to lose the following round as the economy has all but dwindled away.
It has, but the other thing that's doing is a space they have control of here. It's kind of, they got both of them, I think, if not one. So they kind of understand that, hey, they're trapped here. Let's take the space and close in the walls. And that's slowly happening. So Guns are just going to hold off on this corner, has a feeling they're coming this way, but I'm going to block what they assume was the sniper line and just take the long way around.
Yeah, with that smoke coming in toward the B side as well, Guns are already into tiles here. Holding patiently, does hear the footsteps of Monkey, will swing out fine, not one, but two, and Penn Trafford now back on top.
Just a rough moment. Yeah, watch where the smoke was, and I think that was kind of that's kind of the opposite of what you need to do there. Like, the smoke is blocking. If someone's going to push through smoke, you kind of can't necessarily predict that. You have two together. You kind of have to watch that wide angle you don't have covered, and that's unfortunately just got caught out for that. So yeah, it's going to be mostly a save here. The ults from the side of Westmont are going to have to put in a lot of the heavy work, but we are running out of rounds, so it's a rough for them, because especially with all those ultimates still inside. Again, Quarter just still holding on. I guess they're not really playing KO for the ultimate even remotely. I just kind of forgot about it, because at this point there's just no reason that you would hold it this long without using it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, unfortunately. So maybe he just hasn't felt the need. But again, I think, you just pop it off to use it, especially here in the final round before half. And, Westmont did a great job in the first half here, or the first half of the first half, rather. But again, I think once they got in economic trouble, they were finding, various members not buying together, and these rounds started to slip away here now, possibly looking at that 7-5.
The other thing that's worth noting is just that you can see it. They're playing as a full 5-stack here, and here comes, as the ults come out here, they're playing as this full 5-stack, and that's something that's kind of happened the more they've started to lose rounds also. Before, they were taking control of all these different spaces. You could see it on the flank, the KO. Quarter is circling around. They know what's going on, but yeah, suddenly they gave up all this space and all this control. D-Rock just playing for any sort of a play here. But yeah, they're you can see it. They're kind of letting themselves get compressed, and it's not really working in their favor.
Shooting at Jet here now at the steps here. Again, I think that was Phoenix who was able to find KO. At least they're able to get the flank here this time. But M&A with that op, they have to be careful. One NCT, one on steps, and M&A is putting in work as Monkey finally able to extinguish that flame. And Redfish will find the res on to D-Rock here. The plant goes down, and Westmont now looking to tie it up before halftime as Hello cheating out of market now. Fancying his way over there, but Blur finds the 3K, and now it's all down to Pillow with only 22 health.
This does not look good for Pillow, the 1v4. If there's ever a time to hit the miracle play, it is not now, because Blur has just hit that 4K instead. All things considered, like, real talk, 6-6, this has been a great half for Westmont. I think if anything else, you are more than excited to be in this position. You had a great attack, and you've kind of put Penn Trafford on the back foot here. So now you just have to keep that energy going into this defense. And the good thing for them, like you said, this is a full reset, so you get your economy back. You just have to keep yourselves in check, keep yourselves in the same headspace to let's buy together, let's not sell up. Either everybody buy a gun or let's not. Let's full commit to winning this round, or let's full commit to saving, and they'll work themselves in that favor. Meanwhile, on the side of Penn Trafford, there's been a lot of decisions that I've agreed with, a lot of great gunplay. But again, we're holding ults a little bit too long. Some of those save rounds that maybe they never came in, but there's just been times where we're holding ults and it's now we're in the last round, we might as well use it. Spread them out, give yourselves those advantages. You have those tools. I want to see a little bit more liberal use of those ultimates, but D-Rock finding a liberal use of that Sheriff instead.
Yeah, we saw him pop off in that first pistol round, now able to find that first kill here, the first blood in this second half as well. M&A with the Sheriff of their own, looking to pressure on D-Rock, maintaining sight. The Haunt goes over top, will be seeked out here by D-Rock, and again, now Monkey looking to blind, try to prevent that pressure, does get dinked down to 34, and now they'll make some space onto the side here as Penn Trafford looks to pressure on, counter smoke coming in, but maybe a little too late here as they take control. D-Rock alone on site will get snuffed out by Gunzer, and Penn Trafford has control.
They do have control, but they don't have any man advantage, so that is in their favor. Now the problem is who can really break this open to get in. Redfish is going to be the hero they're looking for at first. I've tried for the door and get found out, but no real advantage here. The question is what happens on this flank. M&A is just there, but now is covered in that smoke, and they find out what's going on. Looking, firing. Not even going to take the shots, really. Monkey looking, searching, can't find them. No, finally M&A comes out on top there, but 2v4 is looking to fall. I say that, but there comes Penn Trafford on the run back, so it's just one. It's just Blur with that Sheriff now. They might just take they're just going to take the save.
Yeah, just not enough time to get in there, find the kills and the defuse as well. So pick up the Sheriff, backpedal off, at least save that for that following eco round that you're about to endure. And again, Penn Trafford now taking that pistol round. Theoretically, on paper, should grab this one as well. But as you had mentioned in that first half, we've seen a lot of teams somehow make silly mistakes, and some of these eco teams come up with big rounds. It could be huge here for Westmont Hilltop.
I mean, this is the chance to come out on top again, right? You know, you had a great half. You've shown that you can win in pistol rounds. I'm pretty sure we've seen more shots succeed out of D-Rock and Blur on pistol rounds than any other round. So I think if that's the case, you're going to do it. The one thing I would like to see is Monkey and Redfish step up a little bit harder. They're at the bottom of their respective team, and I think they have the potential. I love the use of their utility. Monkey in particular has had great smokes, but you got to follow that up, and you got to be able to complete a lot of those kills. The wall will come up just to kind of signify we saw it coming. Quarters, you know, now it's time to get out. We'll get out of here.
Yeah, and now on the back pedal out of A as well, as you had mentioned, a good wall there from Redfish. And, you know, Redfish, actually, in the previous game, we talked about those economy things. Redfish was like a Bucky every single round. And so it's good to see at least Redfish not buying a Bucky every round. But, yeah, again, I'd like to see a little bit more from those bottom frackers. We see D-Rock getting two there. But, again, now the pressure toward B. We'll see if Blur can come up with a big play on this lurking flank.
I mean, he got away with there, got the information, so they know it's coming. Tony also just kind of giving up that space. I think they're willing to play for the retake here, and I don't think that that's the worst play, but Quarter will find one. That's just gun advantage, unfortunately. So now with a gun in their hand, Blur is ready to retake here.
Yeah, and so far, a great eco round. I mean, they've found a couple kills. They've gotten some of the economy, some of the weapons away. Certainly have to be careful here. Quarter tucked into a cheeky position. The smokes come out, and these are odd smokes from Omen, though. I mean, I feel like, you know, this is almost a smoke for the other team that now they have to push through these to get kind of toward that site. The flash out from Phoenix will help a little bit. One tucked into the boathouse is spotted. Has to be careful of the one just below, though, as they find one. Blur gets another on a big spray here. Can they have time to defuse?
You know, there is something to be had for it. Yeah, they'll do it. There is something to be had for those smokes. I will give it hot sauce. It's, you know, it does appear more defensive, but the one thing it does give you is it's harder for them to predict exactly where you're coming out. And once those faded, you could see exactly that Blur just had the angle into the boathouse in the back. So worked out in their favor. Again, it's very clear that Westmont put in the work here. They've grown, and you love to see that. You love to see a team that put in the work and has grown and it says, you know what? No, we're not just going to roll down to, you know, an O and a 0 and X team. We want to show these big dogs that we're ready to play, and they're doing that. They're rewarded. They're going to come up to a mid buy, though, unfortunately. Probably just not quite all the way up there for a full buy, and I think that's probably the safest bet in their case. But it does force, I like this, it forces Penn Trafford back down to pistols a little bit deeper, and I think that can work in their advantage as long as they don't get too cocky into this and don't give up too much space.
Yeah, Monkey didn't buy any armor and still had 4,300, so a little bit dangerous there for him, but maybe just taking a little bit of a risk here as Blur does find the first one. We see D-Rock cheating out, has spotted one as well, and D-Rock could come up with a big play. The run it back right in the face. Blur able to find another. That's the triple kill as Quarter will extinguish the run it back here now in a 5v2. Great pressure coming out of Westmont here in these latter rounds. Quarter with a dirty Marshall shot, but Redfish on the flank gets the kill, and that's another big round for Westmont Hilltop. This 0-3 team coming out here, putting up a heck of a defense against this undefeated Penn Trafford.
I got to give it. I think this is part of it is, they have such a high, look at this comp is such high sustain. Yeah, it's low information, but everybody here, with the exception of the Omen, will eventually get healed up. They're playing for these longer games, and they've kind of gotten an understanding of what works best for them, because this comp on paper is a little flimsy. It's definitely low information. It's definitely a worse team, but what it does allow them to do is to try to set up 2v1s and get information, and then use that information. If they can figure out exactly where they need to be, it's very easy just to set up someone who can get healed, or take some chip damage for positioning and then recover from that. And now that they understand that there's a 5-stack over on A, here it is. They're gonna try to vie for this positioning.
Yeah, Redfish, we talked about wanting them to come up big. Now finding some of these first-time kills as well. Hello does find the trade. Pillow able to get one more. Now Hello with that spike plant. They have the player advantage as well, but the damage there on Jet is pretty big, so they potentially could find another kill. We see two tucked in hell here as Monkey able to find one and the equalizer, and now the favor slightly here for Westmont. A tough retake, and we'll see if they're able to do it together. At least they have these flashes here, but the spray comes in, and it's not enough. Monkey finds the trade, 2 in hell. Can they find this?
They're close. They're looking there. They know what's going on. They know where they are. They're going to flash in. Blur catches one. M&A caught out, and Blur just makes the hero play there to come up huge, clearing out the demons from hell and getting the defuse. Impressive play. Yeah, we were concerned about Blur with, this Phoenix pick, but is absolutely making a case for it now.
Mm-hmm. The situational awareness, the game awareness right there from Phoenix, truly, truly phenomenal as well. Finding that molly into the corner, the flash comes off, now knowing there's one most likely on that crossfire as well, as he's playing against a higher skilled team, and really just done a phenomenal job. We talked about how Phoenix wasn't really a big pick anywhere, tier 1, tier 2 pro play. You never saw Phoenix. Now with these recent changes, certainly a very viable character, and Blur doing a phenomenal job here today.
M&A going to go into knives there. You can see it because it's going to be full buy across, and you can see it for the side of Westmont. They're a little bit forced, so a little bit all in, but they do have the ultimates on their side to hopefully set up a defense. But they've got a good read of this. They will find one, and Tony, there's 2 to clean it up, but it looks like Penn Trafford's ready to play finally.
Yeah, I mean, we see these ults coming in here early this time. Brim also has one on deck as well for post plant. So again, maybe using these ults a little bit earlier can come in a favor, help them win some of the rounds that they weren't winning, as you mentioned, like on those ecos or where that economy isn't as good. So certainly utilizing it very well here. But again, kind of a little bit of a bonus there from Penn Trafford as well. So the next round's certainly going to be the slightly more important one.
Yeah. And it looks like, unfortunately, with the 1v4, unless Monkey get the hero play here. No, doesn't realize there's still another one there. Porter's going to finish it off for 3. But yeah, again, looking very strong. It's unfortunate, though, because that does put them into a bad place in their economy. They have a couple that have full rounds. But, it's going to mean that they're going to have to spend everything down between Blur and Monkey, who came up at the full 9K, just to keep themselves competitive here, because they need to keep this going. They have the lead, and they kind of have Penn Trafford on this back foot, too. A couple ultimates, but if they can win another round, they can force them into a save and keep this rolling. So I really do want to see, we asked Redfish and Monkey to step up, and they have. I want to see this team continue to go here, because this could be the upset of the season if they keep this pace up.
Yeah, we don't even see Blur buying for Tony here, though. Tony's going to opt to stay with the Sheriff and the light armor. As again, Penn Trafford looking to slow things down a little bit. We can see him kind of methodically and slowly rotating toward that B site, and it's kind of created a little bit of movement out of this Westmont team, bit of an early rotation toward the A site here, and this could really work out in Penn Trafford's favor. We kind of see him shifting back here like, oh, what do we do now?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't really have sights on it. You gave up the information that you could have had, but I think the call has come in. We didn't see anybody there, and now that Monkey's confirmed it, they'll throw their last blind out and hopefully try to buy some space. Rock gonna come up with one from it, and now they're on site. Now they're ready to contest.
With the Empress coming in as well. Big sprays, though, and Gunsler's going to be able to find him, as that is a big trade. Now the equalizer, the plant going down with ease again. Here is Redfish tucked into the CT, a bit smoked off, waiting for that long rotation to come in. 2 on the flank here as they look to play together to retake. They're going to have to deal with that tour de force and that Brim ult, however.
I was curious, did we really need the tour de force here? It is 4-4. Gunzer decided that yes, we do need the tour de force here, despite my questioning. But I still do kind of wonder. I think you could have saved it. This might be a little bit much because Blur is going to find one. Eventually, we'll get traded out. You might have not even needed it. Yeah, well, it got one, but I debate if you really needed it in this situation, or if that was just we're kind of panicking and we feel we need to overinvest.
I mean, when he watches this back, he's going to say, "Hey, do you want us to use the ult, or do you want us to hold on to it here?" I mean,
that's true. You're right.
I think maybe they realized. Right, yeah. I think that they realized that they were holding on to the ult a lot. So, a good pressure 4v4 there. Go ahead and pop the ult. Even if you only find one, maybe it scares the other team a little bit, slows them down, less likely to peek some of those angles. So, probably didn't need it, but again, at least we see them using them a little bit more now as opposed to the latter.
Agreed. And unfortunately with the latter, that will be Westmont is kind of struggling to buy up, and hello, we'll find D-Rock. That's auspicious start of things to come. And there's Blur, and that's the top two fraggers for the side of Westmont down. So a tough place to be in for Westmont going into this tied round.
Yeah, and you're on defense now, right? You're able to hold those angles. I would like to see a little more patience out of Westmont. Being just a little too aggressive here on defense is what you don't want to do against this Penn Trafford team. Don't allow them to find that first pick, especially when it's on your top two fraggers. Now, KO Sky going to be in a tough position here, and Penn Trafford looking to take the lead and try to run away with it. But again, Westmont has 9 rounds against this undefeated team. They're certainly doing a heck of a job out here.
Oh, yeah. For the critiques we're giving them here, this is again arguably the best showing we've seen against this Penn Trafford team. So I think you're happy with it. That's I think they were trying to get the spike, maybe try to get to it, or just trying to get a better positioning. It was a good shot, but the glass is still there, so it'll give him away. Does get found out. Yeah, unfortunately, just kind of no value for that. It was a cheeky idea, but unfortunately just not really used for much.
Yeah, and breaking the glass with the knife is never a good idea when you don't have the intel as well. You got to have that weapon out to find at least maybe one. But, we see Quarter up there, 31-12, Blur 29-11 as well. And it's certainly been a phenomenal back and forth game. Again, Westmont has certainly surprised me. The progressions that they've made, or even just since the last game, truly has been phenomenal.
I agree completely. I've been keeping an eye behind the scenes on all of these D1 teams, and Westmont was kind of one of those ones that similarly they gave me kind of vibes of another couple teams from last year, and now they're changing up. Quarter going to commit that suppression field, this is the time to use it, right? See if they can catch anybody out, get a little free information, but really hesitating to really commit into it. Seekers will find them, and it's still just a stalemate here.
Yeah, good job of use of utility from Westmont to kind of keep this Penn Trafford team at bay, slow things down. Again, they need to remain patient, though, and hold the angles. I don't want to see them get too aggressive and allow them to find that early pick. We see kind of the D-Rock rotating toward mid here, kind of worried about that rotation. But again, just need to kind of slow it down, play patient. They have some good shooters. They have great skills. So just go back to those fundamentals that were working for you in that first half as well.
Yeah, I would trust your teammates here. Teammate says there hasn't been any signs on mid. I think you take that as a sign that there's been no rotation. Unless they're playing the super long rotate, take that, and that will be the ultimates coming out with a blind and more. They're initiating in here. We'll find one to open it up. There's a second.
Yeah, good space by M&A there to get on site and get the kill. They need to find that pick first. They had the slight advantage there as far as being able to shoot first, but M&A, a good flick to heaven, finds the kill. Quarter gets one more as well, and now there's Blur tucked into tree. Will get spotted out in the run it back, and that is just unfortunate, as Penn Trafford is now one away from match point.
That's rough. I'm sure there was a thought in Blur's head, but that's just unfortunate that's going to go to waste. That would have been great for next round. But the other unfortunate part is they're probably going to be stuck on a mid buy here for Westmont. That's a rough place to be going into this when you're trying to prevent it going to match point. There's still a resurrection though, so that can do something down the line as long as it's used well and Redfish doesn't die early. Redfish has been, if you've been keeping track of it, Redfish has been dying early, one of the first usually to buy, so it's gonna be very important to keep this Sage alive to get full value of the utility that exists there.
Yeah, and again, Penn Trafford cheating toward this A side again, just trying to find that early pick and being patient here. That dog going to get shot out right away as the Sage wall goes up, and again, anytime you see that Sage wall, whether you decide to push there or not, it's always a great idea to break it immediately. Just to, allow them to know, hey, we could still potentially push here. So it just gives them one more angle to hold. So I do like that from the Penn Trafford team, always making sure to break that wall down immediately.
Ooh. Oh, D-Rock caught out, unfortunately, by that molly. Just bad timing, unfortunately. And, well, it gives them a little bit more, but thankfully they didn't have the space. There will be another sneak for their quarter. We'll find another to clean that one up, but it's 32 health stuff. They're trapped now, but they still have this A site open.
Yeah, the two-player advantage in favor of Penn Trafford, the plant with ease yet again. Sage rotating toward heaven, and I got to wonder if M&A heard it. Oh, caught from behind, and Tony jumps down. M&A looking maybe for that sneaky knife. Kind of thought about it for a second. Once jumped over the edge, went ahead and secured the kill. But yeah, Penn Trafford now firing on all cylinders, working very, very well together. Unfortunately for Westmont, they did get in a bit of economic trouble. We see these scrappy buys come out, and just kind of a tough position for them here now.
Yeah, again, and some of the decision making a little bit rough too. Redfish was holding that resurrection, has been having it for a little bit. I guess you're saving it for the last ditch effort here, but it would have been very easy to just throw in that resurrection and kind of turn the mistake back to your favor. So you'll have this going in, and it'll be probably the most important thing. But Hello is probably going to end up securing this. If I had to guess, like that Brim ultimate is just going to be so easy. All you have to do is get spiked down. You don't even really need to defend it that well. As long as Brim stays alive, you can just drop that. You can just drop that ultimate on it and just secure the day.
Yeah, and Brim has some easier lineups on the A site here. I imagine they look to work that direction as well. And, a lot of people don't realize you can actually block that molly with your body. So you just make sure you're looking up. When the molly comes in, you jump into it. I've seen a lot of people block it that way. But again, that ult on deck here in the final round, certainly going to be a huge asset for them. But Westmont Hilltop currently sitting at 9 rounds. I think 5 to 6 more rounds than anybody has got on Penn Trafford thus far this season.
Oh yeah, we're being very critical because we're like want to make sure these kids get this, but this is arguably the best matchup versus Penn Trafford we've seen all season. So win or lose here for Westmont, they've put up an incredible show against the #1 team, especially being so far down. And maybe there's any number of factors, but you got to give it to Westmont here. They put up an incredible game versus this.
Yeah, I mean, they're the only people to come in and compete with Penn Trafford so far, and nearly coming out with a win. But in the end, it looks like Penn Trafford will secure it here. A 5v1, a near impossible feat. Stunzer will tap the head, find the final kill, and your winner today here, Penn Trafford, as they remain undefeated on the season. Will go up 4-0 again. Westmont, unfortunately, will fall to 0-4, but if you have to be, if you're Westmont Hills, you have to be happy with your performance. You have to be excited about the rest of the season because, in my mind, they have a lot of games left to win here. They certainly looked very, very strong today. We had quarter, though, 36-12-7 with 4 first bloods. Blur on the other side, 29-14, a very, very strong showing from both teams. And what an exciting match! A much more exciting match than I thought it would be. That was a lot of fun.
That was a great matchup. I think neither of us saw this coming, and then additionally, neither of us really kind of predicted that. You could kind of see it there. Both of those teams, there's no like real clumping. Usually, you can kind of see in a lot of games. A couple of the players from teams you'll see like a couple standout players from the team, or you'll see teams start to like separate towards the top, the carry players. But this was very spread out. There was no real high or low. This was 2 very evenly matched teams, and I think both teams had a lot to take away from this. I think if you're Westmont, that's your boost. That's your signal to say, okay, this is with how we played today. We can contest against a lot of these other teams and push ourselves up to the midpoint. And I think if you're Penn Trafford, that's a wake up call, right? This is a wake up call. You kind of you lost a lot of maps to arguably a lower ranked team at 0-3 that maybe you came into this feeling a little too confident. Maybe you came into this feeling like, oh, we don't need to practice. Maybe you took the week off. Maybe you didn't watch the tape on this. This is a wake up call for you guys. You're champions, but you still got to play to contest and hold that title here.
Yeah, and I mean, it literally, if you go back and look at the last week's game with Westmont and look at the game today, it's night and day. I mean, they look like 2 completely different teams. I was just blown away by their performance today. So, again, hats off to both teams, though. It was a lot of fun casting, guys. We are going to take a short break. When we come back, we've got even more action. Winber will be taking on Hollidaysburg, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Tech High School Series Division One. Still with me in the booth, Soab, and we got another exciting game here. Windberg taking on Hollidaysburg. That first, I don't know if we can get more exciting than the first one, but these two teams certainly could do it.
I mean, look, if anything is going to follow up that match, the two teams that are approximately 2-2 that are shooting about 500, this has to be a good one. All things considered, both of these teams are still playing. They're middle of the pack right now. Both these teams had a pretty good run last season, but like Windber with a slight advantage, just trying to look them to cement themselves towards that top four. And I mean, it's so close. Like both of these teams need a win to keep themselves towards the top. So this is arguably a very important match going into the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and we see V Snipes in here for Hollidaysburg as well, someone who also plays on the Overwatch team. So it's certainly fun to watch them play in both games. I've seen Zlock, Interstellar both pop off. On the other side of things, Mr. Gary, Anjes, a lot of talented members out here. I certainly think we have a very, very close game today, as I do believe we have the map picks and bans as well. We'll toss those up on the screen for you.
We sure do. It's Hollidaysburg banning Pearl. Windber is going to go to Icebox, and Hollidaysburg will defend first. And I mean, now that everybody's kind of figured it out, now that it's kind of understood what we're doing here, I think Icebox is less of a concerning pick than maybe even a year ago, right? Like a lot of the time, there's a lot of people that didn't want to go to Icebox, refused to play it. It's awful, it's bad, but here we are. Now we kind of understand it. We know how we approach each of these sites. We kind of know it. So, as far as I'm concerned, we should know. We kind of know what we're expecting. I assume we're still going to see probably a double controller here. That's been so powerful on this big map, just to be able to have pressure on both sites at all times. It's going to be important to keep an eye and get control visually on so much of this. You can run the double initiator if you want to, but I remember this league is not likely to do so if my memory serves me well.
Yeah, and I know we've seen Anjas on Viper a few times as well, so Viper can be a strong pick here as well. I'm always kind of interested to see, who they go with as far as that goes. Mr. Gary, 99% of the time I'd say I'd see him on Chamber, so that's a very strong pick, as we mentioned, almost on any map as well. Just the free op, the tour de force. You have that trip just for flanks as well. So he's just a very good utility for the team as a whole. But I'm excited to get into these team selects and see just what comps they opt to go with.
I agree. And Mr. Gary has put in a lot of work, has grown on that chamber a lot as well. And like you said, I expect to see that. Immediately going in, Mr. Gary on that chamber. Yeah, this looks right to me. I assume on the other side, we're just kind of waiting until they decide everything. But
Yoru roulette, maybe?
Yoru roulette. Everybody, I guess they're just going to let fate decide their plays, but I doubt that. The double duelist we're eyeing is a little bit rough. I kind of feel like with the Sova, you're getting enough information, but Anjas on that Viper, that's a lot to ask out of a solo controller just to try to buy this. They are going to commit to that double duelist. It's an aggressive pick, and I don't hate it. But I do think you are very all in on wherever you put down this Viper utility now. And now that they've kind of seen what's coming around, they're going to play into that. And they're looking at Brimstone, still very strong, still very good to rush down. And, I think they are eyeing, there's the initiator. We're looking at Fade instead. I think this, the comp just reads kind of odd to me in a lot of ways. It does a lot of different things, but I don't see... the information is going to be good from Fade, but I don't know what exactly you're going to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, we see the dual duelists, right? Basically a mirror here, Jet and Reyna both. So it's very similar there. But I think, Fade has become a big pick over Sova in a lot of maps for that intel. However, it's much further here. There's a lot more range as well. And I feel like the dart gets you a lot more here than that haunt. So, I feel like Fade is going to be a little more restricted toward that A site. Hopefully, maybe they're looking to use those gun skills as well. Interstellar, V Snipes pop off a lot. So maybe they're looking to kind of carry a little bit off of that as well. On the other side of things, Viper, very good at holding down kind of a site virtually alone. Maybe with just one more. So maybe making that long rotation a little bit easier on that team, on the attacking team, especially with the chamber who can kind of get places quickly.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Is the Viper plays as more of the sentinel controller, where you can kind of just let her, like you said, like take control of a site and just kind of trust that she's got it. Especially if you let her play that B site, you can kind of pretty much be self assured that only when you don't need to go unless the Viper calls for backup, that it's just the site's getting hit. But meanwhile, like I said, like I'm very curious because Brimstone is still very strong, but you do have a little bit shorter and more aggressive smokes with him. So this is going to have to be very, very bursty from the side of Hollidaysburg. And I think they can do it, especially with their style of play that they bring in. But I'm going to be keeping an eye on the controllers in particular for Icebox here.
Yeah, I mean, again, we kind of see him setting up here, Fade over on that B site. We thought maybe it'd be a little easier on A, but looking to hold the long haul alone. And I feel like the majority of teams do attack A site first here. So maybe mixing up the strategy. If they can run it down B here quickly, they could find themselves in good positioning. Brim's still stuck in the spawn, though. I wonder if there's maybe a little issue over there.
Yeah, that would be the unfortunate pick. Yeah, there's the disconnect. That is a bit unfortunate. We're already in the middle of the round, so we'll see if they come back in. There it is. Thankfully, it's a pistol round, so it's not much, but it's promptly on the B side. They'll leave the spike there just to try to buy it. But there is that first pick. There's a trade to it too. So Mr. Gary coming up again with those early guns from Chambers, putting some value down.
Yeah, the headhunter, and a lot of times people opt to go with the sheriff. Now they've increased the price so much that those 4 rounds sometimes just isn't enough. But Mr. Gary putting in some work. Unfortunately for them, though, Jet, Gary both really not much health as they look for this rotation here toward the mid side, and nearly everybody has cheated the opposite direction here from Hollidaysburg. So maybe they can come away with a play here up mid.
Yeah, that's kind of the all-important mid-control, right? You can't necessarily afford to give it up, and now that they see there's not really pressure there, and now they found that there's pressure there, Mr. Gray will pay the price for it. Just trying to find shots. I'm just not really able to find it. Will eventually get punished for taking their time trying to line it up, so this is not looking good for that Winbur team, and it's probably going to be the early drop with 4 up.
Yeah, I watched Interstellar do some crazy work last week as well, and already putting it in with Reyna's lock with a triple kill here, and again, just maybe building some confidence, momentum, as we see a 3-0 and a 2-0 already for Hollidaysburg.
Like you said, any one of these players at any given time could pop. We've seen all of these players go off at any time, so it's not easy to say like, oh, we have to keep an eye out for. Right. Put in a bunch of work. It's so easy just to be like, oh, just pick, clearly the top fragger. I don't think we're going to see a very definitive top fragger here. Zlock is like leading at 3-0, but that's, in 1 round, 1 up, they'll have the advantage in the guns. So, unless Zlock just pops off and has the game of their life, I don't think anything's set in stone, even going into this pistol round. If there's going to be an upset, I think it's going to come from, Winbur can do it.
Yeah, and that's true on both sides, really. Like any member on both sides of these teams has popped off at any given moment, and I think that's what makes these two teams so good, is all 5 members really clicking well together here. Now the pressure mounting toward the A side. Gary up top on Bell, but his V snipes with that. Marshall will find one, dashes away, and does clutch up on Mr. Gary. Shadow up with that dash in hand, will dash away as Lock from behind gets to. Shadow finds the trade, but again, snipes will be taken out, and really that trip from Gary was just no good there, because he was that first member dropped, allowing that flank to come in with ease.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate. Again, you kind of got to play a little bit further back with the Chamber. You got to give Chamber, don't mind that. You got to give Chamber that level, that ability to kind of play and just take the space. You got to separate a little bit just to give yourselves that time and the Chamber to kind of control the space that's there. That's the thing he's good at. So playing grouped up like that, I love it. But you got it. Mr. Gary's just going to have to kind of keep that head on a swivel for this, because now they're down 2-0. They don't quite have the buy yet, so it's going to be a tough approach with these rifles. They're just going to kind of have to play for confidence and play for the picks that they can get.
Yeah, and Mr. Gray, like me, likes to frag out, and that's where sometimes you have to tell yourself to be a little more patient. As you mentioned, though, you can't afford to go down early like that when you're holding that flank. And there we see anything for RR. Picking up a nice kill on the V-Snipes again. They are playing off that bonus there, the Marshall in hand, so the gun advantage in favor as they press in here, and Mr. Gary able to find another with that Vandal. Now checking for that flank. Not going to come in this time, and a good job of Hollidaysburg to mix up those strategies as well. Interstellar able to find one. Can he get another? No, the trade comes in from the opposing Reyna, and now the 2-player advantage as they'll find the 3K, and Brim is left all alone.
And that won't be long until he's surrounded, but you got to give it. Yeah, the rifles do make a difference here. Now that we're into rifle rounds, it does make a bit of a difference. That's the team play we were hoping to see come out from Winburn. They are looking strong here, but rifles in the other hand now, I guess, as now there are ops on board. There are full rifles on both sides. On just a little bit short, maybe gonna have to get bought up. Just has had a rough start at 0-3, but yeah, both of these controllers, falling a little bit tough. It's hard to keep your eye on the game and on your smokes and on your setups the whole time through. So a little bit more defensive of the team is what I'd like to see from both of these guys. Because again, it helps if you can drop your smokes and get set up, but the other part is keeping them alive to continue to use those and give you the advantage of them.
Yeah, I think patience goes a long way, not just on that defensive side, but on the attacking side as well. And obviously you can rush somewhere, kind of create a little pressure without dying, kind of fall back up, and create some space there. But right now it's Mr. Gary and anything for RR finding 2 early picks as they pressure toward B. The rotation is already here, though. We'll see if they can get set up. V-Snipes has the op in hand. Cheating close, finds the no-scope, and a dirty play from V-Snipes.
Oh, that's huge. You love a good no-scope from 3 inches away. Looks good. We'll get revealed, caught up by that Soba Dart, but they have the angles there. So now that op is in position, it's going to be even tougher to approach this angle. Lear out, doesn't really draw much attention, no follow-up to it, but shots will just trade here, and finally that wall will come down.
Yeah, big wall, able to find the kill as well. 50 seconds left in the clock. I'm surprised they don't look for a rotation here to continuously press this V-Snipes here with the op and give him these 1v1 battles is a little bit crazy, but hey, we all love a little crazy from time to time as anything RR looks to channel their inner crazy. Can't find the clutch, the triple from V-Snipes, who is putting in work. Yeah,
once V-Snipes got set up in that nest, it was over. It was just game, and because there was no way to displace them really. You didn't have a smoke available for it. You did, I think you might have spent that Viper dome a little bit earlier to kind of blow that up, but yeah, you didn't have anything available to kind of displace and try to buy yourself some ability to adjust. So unfortunately, that's just the way it be. The sniper gets in the nest and it's over. But meanwhile, for the side of Hollidaysburg, they're rewarded. They've got 2 ultimates on board. They may not need them, but they also have a comfortable lead 3-1 going in around 5 here.
Yeah, and again, I think it's cool that you hear about players, he plays basketball and football or this or that. You have V-Snipes out here who does Valorant and Overwatch for his school. And I think it's really cool that they're able to play more than one game as well. And it certainly shows and attests to how much skill they actually have in some of these games.
Agreed. Those are 2 pretty separate games. We've all seen the memes of Valorant players coming over to Overwatch 2 and how the struggles they've had. But V-Snipes making a case for the multiplayer here, and the trades will come in, but it's still 3-3. We will see the rest of that. Lear 2 doesn't really buy him space. The spike's still stuck on mid though, so in a bit of a tight position.
Yeah, they do have the player advantage here as well as Jet, Reyna, and Chamber look to work toward mid here. That flank from behind. Zlock, though, will get caught off as Shadow has kind of figured it out. Zlock kind of flanking there a few times now, other than, I think, just 1 round. So maybe wants to mix that up. Be careful of that as Bonsai does get caught by that trip. And again, we can see Mr. Gary now up into the nest, has an idea, but Shadow from behind will get it first.
Yep. Mr. Gary put in the work to find him and was unfortunately had the glory stolen. But that's just the way it is. It's the team sport, right? As it were. So just the way it be. But they were rewarded. They'll come up with a couple of rifles and they'll probably be able to buy out the difference there. A couple of ults for the duelist too means that this is probably going to be an aggressive round for them. They got to be feeling pretty strong that they're going to be able to just kind of take whatever sites they need to. So I expect the duelist ults on the other side to kind of come and negate this. So I think the question is what happens with this Fade ultimate? Do they find anything and do they get the information they need to win the round?
Yeah, they didn't really buy though, other than the Jet has the ult there, but I don't know if they waste that Fade ult on a kind of an eco scrap round.
Probably not.
Oh, no, they do.
Yeah, they do. I send it.
Oh. I got a little bit of a issue.
It looks like that fatal broke the whole game. It looks like that fatal broke the whole game. So we're gonna bring it out from there. Look, it was the belief in the fatal. The fatal was just so powerful. It obviously just broke the game. So we'll get the result eventually, but like you said, they were willing, you know, you were questioning, are they going to commit this? They were willing to, and I think they were willing to just to try to buy that space. If they were going to turn the tide back in their favor, I think that was one of the main tools they had. Looks like we're finally getting it together here. And well, it looks like the round ended and we're tied up now. So how we got here, we'll never know, but at least we got the result we did. And I would take it that was in a good investment. It looks like they invested 2 ultimates into that, the knives and those 2 ults. So paid off in their favor. So, but kudos to, I believe that's Holidaysburg, to Winber for holding onto those ults. They'll have 4 going into this round, as it's even pretty even economically, but they have those going into their advantage on the belt.
Yeah, and Winber actually ended up winning that round as well. So, you know, that fade out did come in, but they had already lost 2 members at that point, and you wonder if it was maybe just a little too late. So, unfortunately, you know, again, a little bit of a technical difficulty there. We do apologize as we head into round 7. We'll look to get that squared away. But Winber, you know, has tied things up. So we're all tied up 3-3 here. We thought it was going to be a close game, and a banger it certainly is thus far.
It is looking to be that way. And, you know, again, we kind of see just the economies getting traded a little bit back and forth. No one really running away, maybe getting a round or 2 back and forth, but every team just playing well. Again, there's just individual players popping on and off, and that's kind of where it is, and that's where it's been. But we're still, thankfully, this time we're back in mid round, and we've seen a couple fall, but it looks like Winber is even and ahead on the side for the defense.
Yeah, so we do have a 3-4 right now as Holidaysburg putting up that defense. That spike, though, all the way around to the A site, nobody there. We've seen some of these early rotations come in from Holidaysburg, and they kind of find themselves in a tough position here. Again, we talked about maybe finding a little more patience could go a long way for them.
Absolutely, because that's the name of the game, especially on this huge map, is waiting for someone to make a mistake that you can capitalize on. With the spike down now, though, it's going to be harder to retake this because they have the angles and the positions they want. So the pressure really is on Holidaysburg here to come up with picks.
Oh, Bucky does find one. Bonze on the trade as Anjays will trade it right back now on a 2v1. Shadow in a good position with the op here. The spike just planted out in the open. Time ticking away as Anjays looks to find it, but it'll be Shadow who gets the final kill, and now they will find themselves up by 1 here after a 2-0 start. So Winber taking the lead, and we'll see if they can continue to carry this forward.
And it looks to be in their position, right? They've got a full bank for economy. They've got full ultimates. The fact they've been winning fights kind of dry without them is saying a lot. It's very likely that Mr. Gary's going to commit tour de force here, and I see no reason why. They're sitting well, but it looks like Holidaysburg is just going to they're going to force it. It looks like they kind of just need to force it here, and I don't know that this is the time nor the place. I kind of think you just take the full save. You don't have the ultimates. If you're tracking well, this is the first of 5, so I think you kind of just take the full save here. You might regret that. Maybe you get lucky and get a pick and take a gun out of hand, but I kind of feel like that might be a thing you regret down the line.
Yeah, V-Snipes will pressure forward a little bit. Again, we've seen them kind of get a little too aggressive on defense, so we'll see if they can maintain their cool and not over-rotate too early here as Chamber looks to get a little space on B, finds some intel. Bucky fires some shots, no real damage being done as the recon dart comes out and looks for intel. Everybody now shifting toward that A side, and you got to wonder if we will indeed see that rotation come in from Winber.
Yeah, I think the dart got enough information to say, all right, everybody's here, let's just leave. Let's just vacate out. We've pulled all the utility we want. We're getting more bonus utility on the way out too. We dropped 2 smokes. Yeah, absolutely. That's nothing but a win for Winber right now, because now going into this rotation, there's not as much to work with, and they still maintained a lot.
Yeah, I mean, they got over there so quickly. Again, we talk about these early rotations coming in from Holidaysburg. They need to have a little more faith in their teammates. They need to have a little more poise and just kind of remain on site for a little longer until or even if they have a lurk around mid to spot that early rotation out, it could go a long way.
Absolutely. Like, maintaining the sights on everything and the information is important. It's such a key part of this game. But the other part that's key is maintaining members, as it is going to go 4-1, and Interstellar just trying to do their best to get anything. Not really going to trade out. You're not seeing anything from the Viper's pit, but they smell the blood, and they'll give that up just to try to find the kill there. It looks like 5 HP in a dream. Anybody going down with? No, probably not. That's going to be the end of that. But hey, an effort was made. We'll die to the spike, probably for the best.
Yeah, I wanted to get that extra money as well.
Yeah.
Didn't want to rock that Marshall next round as well. And nearly got the headshot onto anything for RR. Just slightly flicked too far to the left there. But, you know,
Yeah.
Winber battling back here nicely, sitting on top as well. And again, we need to see a little bit more from Hollidaysburg. These early rotations with nobody, nobody lurking mid is what's haunting them.
Yeah, we were kind of curious and about what the lack of information that's kind of available with this big of a site and with this big of a map. It's tough. You can see them. They're basically 4 stacking A, assuming, all right, we're just going to defend this. We've seen them here, but you have no information on mid, and that is rough. The fade is lurking way long, but it's kind of a lost player at that point. There goes Shadow down early, so that isn't in their advantage, but the rest of their information is live to know that they're there. Anything for R coming up with another one to strike back for 2.
They should get caught off by that trap there. Sorry, and they should know the flank is coming. But again, at least they have someone back here this time. A little wild on the spray, still moving as well. Now dancing around the column here is Bucky. Will find the kill. Again, maybe just a little more patience from Fade rather than pushing in after that trip is set. If you do find the trip, it finds you. Just kind of fall back a little bit, lurk, be patient, and prevent them from rotating out.
Yeah, the best thing you can do is to control the space that's given to you, and they've struggled with that. But in the 1v3, they still don't think they need the rotation. Mr. Gary is going to keep an eye. This is what we're talking about right here. This is what we want to see, right? Is like someone just maintaining space for information, just try to be like, all right, did we see anybody go through? Can we get the value? Nope. We can see the lone Reyna just trying to find out anything they can. Interstellar, like, once again, just the last man standing. And I mean, they'll hear the spike go down, but it might be too late by that point.
Yeah, again, at least the Interstellar is remaining patient here, kind of doing something that they don't do. But Winber just buying up a lot of time, seeing if they can get that early rotation. They've done a really good job, again, of playing out all the time that they can to their favor and just really keeping Hollidaysburg guessing.
Yeah, and that's been the thing, right? As you said, this patient play, the ability to, that's not how a wall works. That's not how a wall works. I'm just really trying to find the patient play, just knowing that all they have to do is play for a spike really says a lot. The counterpoint to that all is that they don't really know where Interstellar is playing from because they haven't done much. They haven't gotten much information out of the Interstellar, doing their best not to be had, though. Just going to gather up what's left in 6-3 here. A very, very strong showing from Winber. Where was the littlest bit ahead in the rankings as we were kind of looking it over, but really just showing a very dominant game here.
Yeah, I mean, Hollidaysburg had that nice start, right? The 2-0, even winning up on their full buy in round 4. But ever since then, they've really struggled to get it together. And I think it's because we saw all those early rotations that Recon are nearly spotting all 5. So again, they really just need to have a little more patience on defense, have a little more trust in their team, not be too over aggressive so that they can find these early picks, holding these angles and work that in their favor.
Yeah, but speaking of aggressive, V-Snipe's getting very aggressive in there, and you can see the jet from the side of Winber just deep. I mean, we love a good lurker, but this is a little bit far for information. Not really going to find anything, but 2 picks do come through for the side of Winber, and they are looking to find more. Drone out does get shot down, but that's still plenty of information you're looking for. Snipes knives out, looking for anybody who's available here.
But due to these early rotations, again, you have Jet, who's pushed all the way up mid, has control of Kitchen, and so now gets to hold that rotate. Now knows that B side is clear, gets to hold the rotate from anybody coming back as well. It just gives him that free rotation over the teleport, and Gary coming up with a huge kill on the V-Snipes here, who probably should have come away with that one. The flick of the wrist, and he'll find one more again. And that just goes to show these lurking flanks that we need, Hollidaysburg to do is exactly what Winber is doing here, and they're finding easy picks time and time again. Now starting to pad that lead. We have 6 rounds in a row for Winber.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the economy for Hollidaysburg is just really, really in a rough spot. They're going to full force this, and I guess that's fine. You've taken a couple saves or a couple half buys to get here, but the problem is that, like you said, like they've just been kind of playing very stacked up. You need to kind of default and just keep your eyes on what's happening around you. If you don't have eyes on mid, if you don't have eyes in kitchen, you're just going to be unsure. Let them take it. You can always play for the retake. That's always a very viable play, and some teams will just set their comps to say, we're going to worry about attacking and retaking on that. But the other thing you can't afford to do is just fall to an early pick because you weren't aware.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting overwhelmed out of sight, it's always better to fall back, wait for your team. 5v5 is way better than a 3v5, obviously. But again, V-Snipes will find the early pick here. It could work out in their favor as Bonsai steps out, able to get one as well. And now they have that two-player advantage again. Reyna lurking far and deep outside that B site. Needs to, again, just remain patient, can hold that lurking flank. Looks to press on through. Luckily, Chamber has been wiped out. The trip doesn't find him, and this will work out in their favor thus far.
Yep, Interstellar is going to take that long flank. Oh, does eventually get spotted out, though. Great awareness from that. But again, the 2v3 is a tough place to be in. And again, that flank is what we were looking for, just taking aware of that. Even if the trip had gone off, you kind of almost prefer that. It would have kept them thinking, okay, we have someone coming, we're splitting our attention and force them on that. But now it's up to Zlock to catch the one out. We'll eventually find their counterpart. We'll eventually find the anything for RR, though. And now with Spike down, it's all but a wrap here. Shot, I say that. Ooh.
Yo, Soav looking to get his first caster curse of the night. He said it's all a wrap. And we see a dirty play from Shadow now in a 1v1. Wonder if they hear the intel as well. They're certainly watching this belt area very, very closely. With that, Shadow will find the plant. Some jet on jet. Shadow versus V-Snipes. Now tucked to the corner. Shadow with the op. Has the slight advantage. The peek, the jump. Not there. Throws the pistol. Finds it. The 4K for Shadow. And a big clutch here.
Huge clutch to keep themselves live and going. Not that they needed the gun, but it's nice to have the full op and money going into this last round. And again, for Hollidaysburg, you might have wanted to save up for that last. You kind of spent it all in the last round there, and you're going into this last round probably at a loss simply because your economy was down. You'll have a couple ultimates in the bag. So the question is what are you going to do with them, and how do you make them lead to your success? Because the ones on the other side are no good. Bucky's down. Bucky has that Hunter's Fury, so Spike down is suddenly a lot worse looking now more than ever.
Yeah, again, I think, I'm kind of a fan of buying up on that second to last round, though. I feel like, if you win that second to last round, you have a chance to win the last round as well. If you save for that final round, you potentially don't win that round and then maybe the next one. So I'm kind of a fan of that, but I certainly see why some people save there to buy out for the last round. Shadow with that op. So deadly here. Having a close angle, though, could be a tough position. V-Snipes in a dirty location. Finds not two, but three is on. Just gets a double kill on the trade here. The pressure coming in toward B-Long. The spray's coming in. They spotted him out, but Gary has help. Finds one more now on a 2v1.
Resurrection up and wall down. Mr. Gary has to clutch up now. Doesn't have much, but a few guns and some ammo. Teleport is live, but can they trade the headshot? Didn't. Oh, no. Does catch it. Great look for them. Second. Oh my goodness, Mr. Gary just popped.
No way.
Absolutely insane.
Whew, a headhunter, and he was doing exactly that. Popping heads, getting bread, as we like to say. Stacks on stacks. The 9-3 curse. Not sure if it's going to play any role here. As Winbird, a little bit of a tough start, but it has been an all downhill, easy coast after that. What is that? 8 rounds in a row for them now.
Yeah, that's 8 in a row. And I would argue that this comp plays a little bit better on the defense here. So this is, if anything, more of a comfortable fit for them. They were playing pretty well on that attack. But now that you have these kinds of more Sentinelish characters in the Chamber and the Viper kind of in their home idea, we can just set up and play and take the slow rotations as we need them. But we'll have to see this plays out because anything is still possible in these games.
Yeah, V-Snipes and crew pressuring toward A, and there everybody is here too. Tucked into the corner. Shadow will dash away. Spotted. Bucky with that ghost here, remaining calm and patient. Sage looking for the wall. Nearly gets caught off guard here. Shots ring in both directions. Anything. Will find one on the V-Snipes. Sova is hurt as well, but has help. Shadow pops the head. Bucky gets one as well. And now they are just firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, it's basically live now. Spike won't get down again. This is a defense-oriented comp. It's very tough if you can, especially when they get their rotation and the full team is together here. There is so much happening that is very, very tough to push into. So again, it makes it 9. They're going to 10 here, and they're looking to close it out. They'll buy up a little bit safer than I think a lot of teams might. They're just eyeing a couple of sheriffs, maybe a couple more rush-based options just to kind of bring it down. But it's safer of a buy. They're opting for the full armor instead. And I don't disagree with that. I think if you want to, this comp is gonna benefit from having the full armor as opposed to the firepower.
Yeah, and again, Chamber just has a little bit faster rotations as well. Jet is quick. Sova has that intel that comes much further than Fade, kind of giving him the earlier intel as well. So I think, again, that the comp just slightly favors them. Right now, all the pressure, though, mounting toward B.
Yeah, nice dart comes in, finds no one home though, so they know the rotation is there, but don't worry, the rest of the team's already on top of it, spiked down, looking for one. Zlock trying to trade out, can't do it, and well, it's just unfortunately coming down to rifles here.
Yeah, one remaining member, that's going to be Brim. He does find one, but Mr. Gary, again, with that, Marshall finds the kill. 11-3 as we're one away from match point.
I mean, we kind of alluded to various players who are known for various things, and Mr. Gary being known for that chamber at 14-6, not even the top player, but had just put in an incredible performance, especially with these last couple rounds. Yeah, they absolutely come to life. But rifles are live now for the side of Hollidaysburg, so this is their chance. They need to put their foot down here, and they need to slow down the pace and get this to their game. They need to work and find these slow picks. You can't aggressively rush this comp. They'll rotate faster than you. They'll just move. So really, I want to see a little bit more patience out of them going into these last couple rounds to keep this a success.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And unfortunately, for Hollidaysburg, it's not just Mr. Gary popping off. You've got Jet, you've got Reyna as well. But Interstellar doing some dirty work. V-Snipes finds a double on that play as well. And now they have the two-player advantage here. Zoc looks to pressure in. Viper on that long flank as well as Reyna makes her way out of screens, looks to get up near rafters, has been spotted out from the Powers. Lock steps out the spray. V-Snipes with the help and the triple. Is Viper making their way toward mid, that lone member. And, we talked about Hollidaysburg needing to win this round. Right now, they certainly are on pace and will do that. V-Snipes, the 4K.
Big turnaround for them. They needed this to keep it live, and that ends a long running streak of wins. So still a bit of an economy. It's not as big as a victory as you want, but it is a start of it, because now they're going to have to decide, do we want to commit and try to close this out for Winber, or do we want to try to just play it to a mid and try to get control of the pace again here? Snipes did earn knives in that. I don't think they'll need it, but I mean, they're basically 1-1, 17-13. It's an option if they need it, but I think they may just be holding on to that for a final round.
Yeah, Wimber feeling pretty confident, so they do buy here. If Hollidaysburg can find this round, they should be able to grab one more as well and maybe get some confidence, start to inch their way back in this. Certainly not impossible. A tough uphill battle as Shadow has already popped the dome of V-Snipes to give themselves the player advantage. And now this force mounting toward B. Chamber firing away from Yellow, has a tough position, 4v1, looks to back off. Help is coming as well, and we see that rotation coming in behind as well.
Yeah, the walls are closing in once again, and now it's just going to be where do they find the shots and how do they get themselves out of this? They still have a little bit of space, but the crossfire from mid is there. That's what happens when you kind of close yourself off to that. You don't want to run into Mr. Gary, but you don't want to run into this. So the rotate will start to come through. The question is do they realize they're a little bit more boxed in than they think?
And I like how they rotated, but yet you see Jet here holding mid. They're holding that rotation as well to give the intel for their team. That's something we didn't really see from the Hollidaysburg team that Winber is doing differently here. And this is why they should have done that, right? You can see exactly here a perfect example. They find the picks, they have the player advantage, and they just keep building the momentum in their favor.
Yep, and it's 5-1. Mr. Gary is looking to clean this up. Misses that last shot. Going to take the rotation with the headhunter. No, gets punished for it. What a shot. Thinking about that op, but I don't think now is the time to try to play the op hero, not with a 4v1 at live.
Yeah, nonetheless, it always feels good when you have like that Marshall and you kill the offer, though. It's a good feeling. So Bonsai doing some work there. Anjus, though, finds the final kill. And now Winber sitting at match point 12-4.
Yep. So we'll expect knives out here. We'll expect anything that's left in the box to come out here. And Snipes, putting in a lot of work over there at 17-14, but the rest of it's there. I don't assume they stay on these Odins. Maybe they do just because they know their time's up, but I can't imagine they do. The rest of the question mark is what happens, because Winber's been looking strong. They are going to close this out eventually. Shadow didn't get armor though, and that's a little bit of a rough place to be. That's an easy target if you can recognize that.
Yeah, I think, man, with the op, it's a little bit, better. But again, it always stinks when you don't have armor. V-Snipes in the alt here. Looks to pressure forward up top onto 410 here. Finds one, misses the right click though. Drops down with the Odin. There's the spray, dinks the head, but it's not enough as anything. Finds the double kill. Shadow able to get one as well. Legs coming alive. Pops the trade here now on a 4v2, and that long lurking flank is on its way.
Yeah, it will. Mr. Gary will eventually come around, but it's just rough. Anything for RR looking in on that third, and that will pop the Empress just to try to give themselves a little more sustainability going into this last fight. But how much have they been paying attention? There is one lurker. Never mind, they will get picked, and Interstellar goes down. Credit to them. They've died the last several times now, but just was not enough for the 14-13 loss.
Yeah, we thought that was going to be a much closer game, but Winberg just doing a great job of controlling and securing space, the rotations, kind of keeping Hollidaysburg guessing here as we see anything for RR up on top, 23-8-2 with 3 first blood. Shadow right there as well, doing a phenomenal job as Winberg will go to 3-1 on the season. Hollidaysburg, unfortunately, will fall to 2-3, but still a great job. A little bit to learn, like we said, on those rotations and such, but certainly a great game here on Icebox.
100%. I mean, it's still very easy to lose sight of those middle grounds, right? Like it's very easy, especially in your ranked games, especially in just your pickup games. It's very easy just to kind of neglect keeping sights on mid or taking it when you have an aggressive team that can just get a pick and push very hard onto site. But we're kind of seeing now this is going to be the quality of play you have to bring going forward. You can't just give up space for free here. You will get punished for it. And I think if that's the case, Winber really willing to take advantage of that. And I think that's something that down the line, you expect more teams and better teams to do that as well.
Yeah, certainly. We saw 4 great teams today, 2 exciting games. And guys, we hope you'll click that follow button as well. Of course, the eSport company here, this Tech High School series, bringing you many great games. We see Valorant, Rocket League, and Overwatch. So make sure you stay tuned for all of that as well. Anything to add?
Pleasure to be here with all these great young players. Looking forward to more of them over the rest of the season. And a pleasure to be here with you, Hot Sauce, as well. Can't wait till next week.
Yeah, it certainly was a great time, guys. Tech High School Series Division 1. I hope everybody has a great week, and we will see you next time.